Today, we're going to dive into the really powerful ideas from Admiral William H. McRaven, who was a Navy SEAL for 37 years. His book, Make Your Bed, gives us these 10 simple but profound lessons for changing your life. We're going to break down some of the most important ones, and it all starts with how one tiny daily habit can completely set you up for success.
So let me ask you a question. Want to change the world? I mean, that's a huge question, right? It feels pretty much impossible. But what if the secret wasn't some huge, complicated plan?
That's right. A four-star admiral, a guy who was in charge of all U.S. Special Operations, argues that the real path to changing the world, well, it actually starts the very second you wake up. And that brings us to his first and probably his most famous lesson. You gotta start with your bed. Look, this is not just your mom telling you to be tidy. Think about it. In the absolute chaos of basic SEAL training, making your bed perfectly was something you could not mess up. It wasn't about getting a pat on the back. It was about starting the day with one single thing you could control, one small, clean victory. The whole idea is that finishing that first task gives you this little bit of momentum that carries you into everything else you have to do. So here's how it works. It's like a psychological domino effect. That first accomplishment, no matter how small, gives you this little hit of pride. And that feeling encourages you to go do the next thing and then the next. So by the time you go to sleep, that one tiny completed task has turned into a whole day of them. It really proves that the little things, they actually are the big things. Now, it's fair to ask a tough question here. Is just making your bed really enough? Critics point out that focusing only on your own habits can sometimes make us forget about the bigger picture. The huge social or economic barriers that can stand in the way of success for a lot of people. It's an important point to consider. Okay, let's move on to lesson number 2, which has a fantastic name. Embrace the sugar cookie. And trust me, it is not as delicious as it sounds. So what on earth is a sugar cookie? Well, in SEAL training, if an instructor found even the tiniest thing wrong with your uniform, you were ordered to run straight into the freezing cold ocean, get completely soaked, and then roll around on the beach until you were covered in sand from head to toe. It often felt totally random, completely unfair, and that was the whole point. And this quote just nails the lesson. Life isn't fair. Sometimes you can do absolutely everything right and still end up covered in sand. The point isn't to avoid it. It's to realize that you can't control the unfairness. What you can control is how you react to it. No complaining, no feeling sorry for yourself. Just get up and drive on. This whole awful experience is basically a crash course in mental toughness. It forces you to accept what you can't change and just bounce back. You quickly learn that your character isn't defined by the unfair thing that just happened to you, but by how you stand up, brush yourself off, and keep moving forward. And again, we have to look at the other side of the coin. Is the ability to just drive on a privilege? For sure. Not everyone has the same safety nets or support systems to just shake off a major setback, especially when they're facing systemic problems day after day. That idea of a support system leads us perfectly into our third lesson, which is all about moving past individual grit and realizing the power of a team. Find someone to help you paddle. So, during training, SEALs have to haul this huge 10-foot rubber raft with them everywhere. It's heavy, it's awkward, and it's absolutely impossible for one person to handle. The only way you can move forward is by working together, with everyone paddling in perfect sync. The lesson is crystal clear. You cannot do it alone. McRaven learned this lesson the hard way. He had a really bad parachute accident that almost ended his entire career. He said he was drowning in self-pity, but it was the incredible support from his wife and his SEAL buddies that actually pulled him out of it. And as you can see here, the difference between going it alone and having a team is often the difference between failing and succeeding. It's just that simple. And sometimes that support can come from the most unexpected place. During the most brutal part of training called Hell Week, the trainees were ordered into this freezing, neck-deep mud for hours. People were shivering, morale was gone. And then, out of nowhere, one trainee just starts singing. At first it's quiet, but then another guy joins in, and then another, until the whole group is singing in the mud. The hope of just one person completely changed the mindset of everyone. All right, this all builds up to a final, crucial lesson that really ties everything we've talked about together. Never, ever ring the bell. Right in the middle of the SEAL training compound, there's a big brass bell. Any trainee who wants to quit, at any time, for any reason, all they have to do is walk up and ring that bell 3 times.
An instructor told McRaven on day one, "If you quit, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Quitting is easy. Living with it isn't."
So, how do you build up the strength to never ring that bell? Well, it's not some big secret. You just look back at all these lessons. You build discipline by making your bed. You develop resilience by getting over being a sugar cookie. You learn to rely on your team by finding someone to paddle with. And you find hope even when you're stuck in the mud. It all connects.
And here's the bottom line. Life is always going to be full of difficult times. That's a guarantee. But quitting, that's a choice. And it's a choice that comes with lifelong regret. The ultimate message from McRaven's entire philosophy is to just keep going, no matter what.
And that brings this whole thing right back to you. We've gone from the intense world of Navy SEAL training all the way back to your daily life. You might not be facing a brass bell, but the principle is exactly the same. So I'll leave you with this. What's the one small task you're going to complete today to start changing your world?